Okay, welcome back to more XCOM 2. Mickey and Piff are here.
Hello.
And so we debated for a long time whether I actually wanted to do one of these missions or not. Because we're getting towards the end game and I don't want to risk my soldiers now, you know? Another thought I had was maybe just send more rookies kind of thing, but that's asking for death. That's just asking for death. Like, I feel bad because I have a lot of soldiers that I don't use very much because I have really high-leveled characters by now. But that's kind of the nature of the game, especially in late game. You can't just send a bunch of sergeants out there and expect to win. Anyway, I was debating not doing these at all, though Mickey did bring up a good point. He suggested do the one that pushes back the retaliation mission because the next retaliation mission's in 8 weeks. I could conceivably beat this game in that 8 weeks time, which means that I could do this mission instead of a retaliation mission, or I could give up this mission and do a retaliation mission, and we all know how much retaliation missions suck, so I'm going to do this one. And this is recover item from Avent train. It's very difficult. It's got a codex. It's going to have codexes.
Oh god, it's a train as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe I gave you the wrong advice. Continue, please.
Well, our trains aren't that bad. I mean, it's not a time limit thing, I don't think.
Oh yeah, trains are. And they're the worst time limits as well. They give you 8 turns as opposed to the normal 12. They actually give you less turns than normal. But you got true concealment.
Yeah.
Right.
Archons, elite officer, elite trooper, elite lancer, sectopod, heavy mech. So, no gatekeepers. That's a plus. And there will probably be gatekeepers on any retaliation mission I go on. So, let's do this. Now, here's the important question. Theoretically speaking, I could throw some more lower ranked people in there. Maybe like 2 or 3, make half the team lower ranked. But that's really risking it, I think, honestly.
How low are we talking?
I'll have to take a look. Hang on a second, let me put my phone on vibrate. Well, first things first, I gotta figure out whose turn it is. I didn't even check to see whose turn it is. What was the last mission?
Put me in, coach.
Hang on, give me a second. You're an engineer, Piff.
Put me in, coach.
No, you don't know. Have you ever held a gun?
Does holding the trigger of the gun count?
No.
Well, hold on, Squee, hold on. Piff has been working in the medical bay for long enough. I'm sure he's used a gun to put somebody out of their misery, okay? Let's be fair.
No! Look, injection guns aren't the same thing.
Oh, no, I was talking real gun.
What? Why?
We can't afford fancy injections.
There's no hope for him, so just, you take him out, replace him with some dude you found off the street, and say that was that guy.
Yeah. Give him a fake cash.
No!
Fine, just draw it on.
Oh, you didn't notice?
No!
That guy's a scraggly bum.
There's like so many people dead in the corner. Alright, so Alpha Team. It's Alpha Team's turn to go. Alright, so let's take a look here. Okay, so this is a train mission. So I'm gonna take Drakeshire, my sharpshooter, or my my sniper. We gotta take
A good specialist is recommended.
Yes, but do we have a colonel specialist? We do. You do. So we're gonna take Ezekiel bin Said. I'm also gonna need a heavy ordnance guy, at least one. We're gonna take Raceland Drake. And then maybe just take a Colonel Ranger and then take 2 lower level people.
Squee, hold on. Could you check your stream on YouTube, because that was really freaking out there for a second. Somebody else mentioned that the stream was freaking out, and I've just opened it now as well. It looks like there's another video overlaid.
Oh no, that was not the stream. That was me. That was me checking other videos to see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That probably
That was me, guys. That was me. That was me checking to other videos to make sure that to see who's going. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
so I could do Jordan Hendricks, our ranger, and then that way I have 4 colonels, and then take 2 lower ranked people. Because I'd love to give the lower ranked people more to do, but honestly, if I go there with a bunch of sergeants, I think that's just going to get them killed. I have a couple lieutenants, a couple sergeants, and I even have a couple squaddies. Alright, so let's take Jacob, who's a sharpshooter. He's a squaddy sharpshooter. But he hasn't been on many missions, and he deserves to go on a few. And we're going to take... can't take Sky. Another specialist? Or another grenadier? Well, let's see if the other specialist I have has haywire. Medell. Where are you, Medell? Medell's Finson. And you're shaken, so this might be good for you. Let's see here. Do you have haywire protocol? You do have haywire protocol. Okay, so I think I'll take Svensson as well. That way I have 2 people with haywire protocol, because I am going up against sectopods and heavy mechs. So
Good commanding idea.
yeah. So all right.
You've got a lot of colonels.
Huh?
You've got a lot of high-ranking.
Oh gosh, yes, I do. I really do.
Have you
Well,
thought
because
what are you going to do for the final mission?
huh?
You thought what are you going to do for the final mission? Is it just going to be one squad or combination?
Oh, it'll be combination. Most big story things I do combination. All right. So let's see here. Let's edit up the lineup. Personal combat sims. What do I have? Speed +2. Not really necessary for you. You don't need that. All right. Loadout. Let's take a look at your loadout here. AP rounds, flashbang grenade. That's not bad, actually. Go with that. Just go with that. Wow, my game is a bit stuttery. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm just going to... I don't know why my game's so stuttery. Let's close a couple of those.
You don't have any mods installed, do you?
No, nothing new. Hang on a second. Oh my god, all the chromes. All the chromes. There's so many chromes open right now. But I have to have Chrome open because of Google.
Yeah.
The Googles. That's alright. Alright, we'll deal with it. Alright, anyway. So you're good. Flashbang, AP grenades are fine. Ezekiel bin Said. Weapon upgrades. Let's see what we could give you here. All you have is a stock. We could give you a superior scope. Oh, actually, I may need to give that to my sharpshooter. Advanced hair trigger. Sure, we'll give you an advanced hair trigger. All right. Loadouts. Let's see, what do we got here? You have... Alright, you're a specialist, so you're going to need a skulljack. And I might give you the mimic beacon. Sure, let's give you the mimic beacon. Alright, let's also make utility items available. Alright, sir, you are our grenadier. So let's go to your loadout here, and proximity mines. Oh, right. I was going to start using those, wasn't I? Alright, you know what? We're going to give you an EMP bomb. Wait, one of these gives you 2 grenades. I don't remember which slot gives you 2 grenades.
You should be able to check, right?
I don't know how.
I mean, when you equip it, it should show that it's 2.
No, it doesn't. Hang on a second. Let me see here. Heavy ordnance.
Oh, no, I've got an idea. Sorry. Equip both of them as an auxiliary item, like a medkit, and see which one can carry a medkit. Because the grenadier's grenade
Right.
only take grenade.
Okay, because I want to put a plasma grenade in that one. You know what I mean? So I have 1 EMP, 1 proximity mine, and 2 plasma grenades. So let's put like a, oh no, not a smoke bomb because that's a grenade. Silly. Oh, I got nothing but grenades available. Well.
Oh no, that'll be the grenade slot then.
Oh yeah, okay. Well then, okay. Then easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's fine. All right then, I will put a plasma grenade in that slot. So I've got 2 plasma grenades, an EMP bomb, and a proximity mine. That's good. All right, you're good to go. Our ranger is going to take he's going to take our heavy armor. Okay, what the heck? Oh, hang on. I had to make that available. Sorry, guys. There we go. Because if I have that heavy armor, I might as well use it, right? And I'm going to give you the war suit. And I will give you battle scanners. Okay. Oh, and you know what? I should give you the movement range. I think. Plus 2 mobility. Go. Alright. Alright, our sharpshooter. I'm actually going to give you... Ooh, actually, I shouldn't be giving you the superior scope because I won't be using you as much. I know that's sad. I know that makes you sad. I know, but really, I should be smart about this. I should be giving the superior scope to my best. There we go. Sorry, fella, but he needs it. And that destroyed his scope, so I don't think we have a scope for you anymore. But let's take a look. What do we have?
That's just sad. Getting relegated for weapon mods.
Yep.
Sorry, son. You're just not good enough.
You're just not good enough. But you're on the mission, so that's a bonus. I mean, all he's got is squad sight, so you know, we're gonna go ahead and give you AP rounds. And we're going to give you battle scanners. In fact, we're going to give you the battle scanners. We're going to give Hendrix over here Talon rounds instead of battle scanners because he's a ranger, and rangers and Talon rounds are like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll give you that. Okay, and last but not least over here, we've got our other specialist. We're going to give you a Skulljack. Okay. And then we will give you medkits. Okay. There we go. Alright, we're good to go. We are good to go. We've got our Mimic Beacon. We've got Talon rounds, rocket launcher, lots of heavy ordnance, etc., etc. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna give him battle scanners instead of flashbang. He's generally so far in the back that the flashbang might not be able to reach him, and having 4 battle scanners to me is just so good. Being able to know where things are and be ready for them. Oh, flip! I'm facing at least 1 codex. A flashbang would have been useful. That's all right.
Oh, you didn't bring flashbang.
That's all right. We'll just have to make sure we kill it dead.
I would have recommended you go back and do what you can do in XCOM 1, where you can just leave the mission there, go back to base, re-equip, and then come back again.
No.
I don't know if you can do the XCOM 2. I wouldn't recommend it unless it was a mission that isn't bad if you missed it.
No, that's fine. We're just gonna do it this way. Wow, my game is really lagging. I don't know why.
It's possible there was a patch for the game recently that made one of your mods incompatible with it.
You think?
That's one of the biggest things that I have is whenever a new patch comes out, I load up the game, it runs so bad, and then as the days go by, maybe a week or two later, the game's frame rate just picks up continuously. It won't be perfect, obviously, because some mods don't get updated. But if a mod isn't made for a particular version of the game, the frame rate just drops so dramatically. I don't entirely get why, because like games like Fallout and Skyrim, it doesn't happen like that.
No,
if a mod's incompatible with the version, either it doesn't load, or it crashes every once in a while, but you don't lose frame rate.
Yeah.
But no, in XCOM 2, it's like that. The game doesn't crash, but it will just, it will lose frames. Or
Guys,
just not load up.
Guys, I haven't gotten any DLCs, so there's no DLCs here. Just a couple of mods and stuff. There's a Gene mod DLC. What? I thought there was only like the Anarchy thing and then the alien bosses. All right, there's the train.
Oh, is that like really recent? A Gene mod DLC? That'd be interesting.
We've got a bead on the Avent data vault near your position.
All right.
Be advised, self-detonating charges are in place at the target. Move to disarm and extract the package before its contents are destroyed.
Let's get you there. I only have one war suit because I only want one war suit. You say that having lots of war suits is really helpful, but in my opinion, it takes up a very needed small item slot. Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather, I mean, it's 1 point of armor and a rocket. And rockets are nice, but you know what else is nice? Skulljacks and mimic beacons and battle scanners. What? I didn't click that. Okay. Well, whatever. You can just go here.
Well, one of the things that I modded in my game was make the heavier versions of armor keep that extra item slot, because I always found it so weird. You're paying for an additional armor piece, one single armor piece, not even a group of armors.
Agreed.
Infinite for however many people want it. You're paying for one armor piece, but you're losing something. So
yeah, no, I agree with that completely.
The idea being, if you want to equip your entire squad, go to that trouble and pay for that much, then you can, you know?
Mm-hmm. Actually,
And
yeah.
benefits are incremental.
I think I'm going to get everyone up on that roof. Alright. That's the scanner thing. Okay. Jacob, you're actually going to go here, and then you're going to throw a battle scanner on top of that roof, because the last thing I want is to go up on the roof and run into unfriendlies. So, you put the battle scanner right about there.
I wouldn't. You know what? There probably isn't, but yeah, you.
How many
do
times?
the
How many
wise
times
thing,
have?
do the wise thing?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many times have people played this game and said, you know, there's probably nothing there.
You know, I actually found out something intriguing about the AI of XCOM 2 recently.
Oh.
Do you ever notice how pods of units will follow you around the map, even though you're in concealment, as if they know where you are, right?
Yeah.
And how units ahead of you will keep in line to your position relative to the objective, no matter where you go. Apparently, this is all intentional, and it's designed in XCOM 2, and even though before you even finish a campaign, you clock onto it and you notice it and you're like, there is something fishy going on here, and it's not fun, and it's getting buggy, it's bugging me, you know, these people are following me, they should be able to see me. The idea is there's what's called line of play, which draws a line between the average center of your squad to the objective, and all the pods are randomly placed. Oh, Codex and Archons, and all the pods are randomly placed in a specific location between you and the objective, and if you move, they'll keep their position relative to you and the objective. Hence why when you're moving in concealment, it feels like they're following you around the map.
Why?
Because they are. Why they do it is because they wanted to keep the AI experience controlled and not random for new players. And for players that are playing the campaign for the first time. But as I said, before you finish the campaign, you feel there's something wrong. Something's not quite right about the AI following you around the map, even though shouldn't know that you're there.
Right.
The fact is it does. It is following you. It's following your location. and it's trying to keep relative between you and the objective, whether that's behind you or in front of you.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm a fan of that, but yeah, I mean, I understand the point of it, but like, okay, I have to ask, what's the point of concealment if I mean, yes, you are technically concealed, but if they kind of know where you are at all times,
I'll bring this up because I guess this is relevant at this point. I didn't particularly like this particular XCOM series because I felt that I didn't have a strong enough feel of strategy in the game.
you mean the first one?
That's why I've played. I've played the first one. I have not actually played the second one. It boiled down to instead of making sure that you're strategically placed or you flanked well or anything like that, it's what did you bring, and then the first game was, did you bring enough rockets on the harder difficulties?
Yeah.
Which I played on Iron Man like Squee, but the game's Iron Man, so every single flaw that showed up stayed. My favorite was you know how the Overlords, the guys who can mind control you in the first game.
Oh,
The Ethereals?
yeah, no, the sectoid commanders.
No, the other ones, the higher up one.
Oh, the ethereals, yeah.
The Ethereals.
Yeah, thank you. The ethereal. So I cleared out everybody else on the map except for one ethereal that was in, of course, the ethereal spot, the main just cabin, or I think it was like a crashed ship, and basically everything was outside except for this one crashed ship. And I basically got everyone invisible, and I'm like, all right, I just don't like these guys. I'm gonna just make sure that this works. Period. I'm not gonna have anything else happen. Just it will work. So I go up to him and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have everyone cloaked and invisible, and when it's my turn, he's just gonna freak out, and then I can move everybody up and just freaking destroy him. So I moved everyone up, and like I'm invisible, he can't see me and things like that. He takes his turn, he disappears.
What do you mean?
As in, he didn't move, he just vanished.
Teleported, didn't he?
Yeah. He was no longer in the ship. He was actually outside, around a corner. And I'm like, they're always here. They're always here.
There's an odd mechanic with XCOM 1's AI in that if the AI can't see you, it'll assume you can't see it, which means it's allowed to teleport instead of move. Which you'd think they would not overlook this problem, considering there's a grenade that makes your squad invisible, and even a Gmod that does the same thing. So yeah, if in normal vanilla the AI can't see your squad, it assumes you can't see them, so instead of moving, it will take the more efficient path of teleporting instead, to make the turns pass quicker and be less CPU intensive. But that, of course, causes problems like you just described. You go in, surround this ethereal, the ethereal assumes that there's no one there, so it's allowed to teleport.
So there's that, but the ethereal should always be in that spot. But I assume that the AI went, oh, there's people around me, they can see me, so I'll actually move. But there's nobody here because they can't see anything, so I'll teleport.
Yeah.
Freaking going at both ends, going like, this is just a confused mess, and it feels like I can't tactically utilize the game in like a way of like checkmate, and the game goes like, I pick up my king and make it float to the other side of the board.
Yeah, that was to me a big problem with it. I like that. Okay, I need to stress this, that before I say anything, games should be judged on the game itself, and mods should never be an excuse for a game. And I disliked certain things. I enjoyed XCOM well enough. I thought it was very good for... let me put it this way. It was very good considering we didn't really have anything like it. We didn't really have an alternative we could go to and play that was closest. I mean, like, when XCOM 1 came out, I mean, really, there was nothing like it on the market that wasn't made 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I really
the clone type games came out after that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really did enjoy it. Yes, there were definitely problems with it. Absolutely. Long War fixed a lot of those problems, which is nice.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's not a game needs to be judged on how it was made. Mods do not. While I do think mods can certainly make a game playable, and I'll definitely wholeheartedly recommend, like, for example, guys, go play Oblivion with mods. Go buy Oblivion, then download a bunch of mods and play it because it's great. I won't give the developers a pass because of third-party mods.
Yeah. I will also recommend to never play vanilla Oblivion.
Yes. That as well.
Squee, on the other side of the argument of that, you can't give the developers credit for the mods that come out, but you have to give them some form of credit for them making the game so moddable.
XCOM 2, yes, not XCOM 1.
Yes, that's absolutely true, yeah.
Yes, I give them credit for XCOM 2 being so moddable, not XCOM 1.
Yeah. Which is even more credit to Long War in that respect. But going on what Piff was saying, that...
Wait, why is he not taking cover? Why is he not taking cover? Maybe
because it's too much brush there. He's actually staying on top of it.
Yeah, it looks...
Oh my god, this doesn't count as cover.
No, you're standing on leaves.
What?
The strongest leaves in the world.
Commander, these leaves, they're too strong.
But what? Alright, screw it. Come back here. Specialist, can't you just move him out of the way? No, Commander, I can't.
I'm standing on top of them and they're not going down.
Foiled by leaves. I've never seen that happen. That's so weird.
You know, if they're down
So
here,
weird.
I could bring people up here. And honestly, I should be fine from them because this would block, you know what I mean? This wouldn't be considered flanking.
I'd be really careful though, because they might catch a glimpse of you as they pass underneath it and they see through the gap for the ladder.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just keep everyone here. I want them to come back up here so I can hit them. Because I'm close enough to this that I think 9 turns is enough. You know what I mean? If I hit them here.
Oh, right, because you've got 1 extra turn because of True Concealment. It gives you 1 extra turn.
Exactly.
It doesn't tick over properly.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Where are my... Yes. You are going to take a battle scanner, and you're actually going to scan over here. I want to see if there's any baddies in between. Like, for example, if I can get this pod and then move up and take the objective. I want to be sure that that's the thing that I can do.
Oh, yeah. There's something there.
There is something there. What is there?
Is that a Lancer or a Captain?
Alright, there's a civilian. There's... It looks like just a regular trooper and a captain.
Be careful, there could be a sector pod like right behind them. Quite often you find troopers with sector pods.
Yeah, but I heard the sector pod back this way somewhere. I think. I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay.
I could throw another pod this way. Why not?
This is intel round. I wouldn't put it so close to the edge of the map. Okay, never mind. I was going to say that a little bit was wasted if you could just like push it up a little bit. No, nothing. But what I was going to say was with respect to what Piff was saying, that I encountered the same thing with outsiders. Obviously, anybody that's played at EU knows the whole deal with outsiders. You surround their ship, you engage them on your terms because they're only trigger and they're always in the same place. And the thing that I found was there was never any point from trying to engage them from different directions, because the moment you triggered them, they would know where your entire squad is, and they would move to avoid all of them at the same time. And I always thought that was so counterintuitive to doing a breach. You're supposed to go in from all sides to not give them any possibilities. No. But they will always counteract that because they know where your entire squad is. The moment the doors open, they see one person.
Yes.
And it's like, well, why did I bother? And in the end, you don't. You take one door, all your squad lines up, the outsider's going to charge to you anyway, pointlessly charging towards you, and you flank it because it gets so close. And it is, like you're saying, Piff, it's counterintuitive to how a strategy should be, how strategy games should be, and how tactics work.
I felt that the effort that I put in for the strategy element was not reflective in the gameplay, which I think upset me the most out of everything. And a lot of people would be like, no, there is tactics, and I would agree. There is definitely a level of tactics. You have so many spaces with so many like ponds and things like that and all that. But I think a lot of the strategy comes with knowledge, where you have to actually know how the game works before you can really implement those.
Hello. Whoa. Whoa. That's a lot of things scanned over there. Are those civilians? Those look like civilians. Sectopod and troopers. Okay. Yes. No, I'm with you. I do think Long War did a lot to change that. I felt like I had more tactical options once the mission started in Long War. XCOM 2, I will give it this. I love XCOM 2. I think it's really good. It definitely does feel like what I bring is still very important, but I think the emphasis now has turned to how I use what I bring. I feel like I have so many more options now than I did in XCOM 1.
I would definitely agree with that. There is actually a lot more options, though. I will stress that with those options comes a few restrictions, like so now that you have more options, you now also are looking out for what's coming to you, and sometimes things are very, 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 very important, almost necessary. So you are getting those options filled up with things that are more of a necessity than options.
Yes, true.
Though that does happen in a lot of games, even strategy games.
Well, my big things with XCOM 2 is unmodded, of course. Timers are really harsh and unnecessary, I think. The idea that you have to complete this objective in 8 turns, and if you don't, everyone dies and the mission fails, and it's just too harsh. It's too short, too harsh, etc., etc. Hey, if I launch a proximity mine right here, will it expose me? I think
it will now. It will now, yeah. In the previous couple patches, it wouldn't have.
But
yeah, no,
I'll launch it here. It'll expose me. They'll move, and it'll blow them up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the most powerful explosive item you've got, short of a blaster launcher, I think.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, when I'm seen, they will move, and it will trigger.
Yes, it will, yeah.
The only problem is, though, that Cypher. I need to take that Cypher out in one go.
I mean, if you got a good... Oh, no, your sniper's not that good, is he?
Well, I do have a good sniper, yeah.
A proper sniper? Do you have Deadshot?
No, I don't. I have Chain Shot, but he's not close enough to use it. I could get him closer.
That's a risk, though.
not really, actually. No, I just need to get him to here. He's just outside range.
Chain Shot will be what, like?
It's 100% right now. So Chain Shot would be yeah.
Wow.
So Chain Shot would still be like 85%. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll get
Oh, because it's your sniper. I was wondering what you mean. You've got a shot on him now, but yeah, because Chain Shot on your sniper, you need to be in visual range, not squad sight range. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and that'll be why the accuracy is so high as well. Yeah.
We'll get you here. So we'll have my sniper Chain Shot him, and that'll open it up. So the Cypher's taken care of. Then we'll deal with the Archon Priests. Okay. So everyone, just wait one more turn. But no, I think the idea of concealment adds... I mean, it's one of the best things you could have added to this game, because it allows you to truly start engagements on your own terms.
I think the game could have benefited to something along the lines of more of a silent approach to taking down enemies. Where, like, if you take somebody down, like, basically if you set up your entire squad to just take down a group, and you just take them down with silented weapons. Mind you, that have to be like researched and things like that, and they would probably have lower damages and things and all that business. But if you took down all of them, you should still be in concealment and keep doing that area to area. Now, there's of course pros and cons to this, where you would be sacrificing certain weapons for silencers, and also like higher and heavier enemies would probably have a hard time getting taken down with these silent things. But if you actually could set up your squad, you can actually get that benefit of staying in concealment and getting the jump on the next and the next and the next. I think that would actually be something that would be really tactical in the game, but I don't see that implemented.
Yeah.
Even like normally, like once you're out of concealment, you're out. There's not much to it.
Yeah. It's there are a lot of mechanics that you're describing that would have worked really well in the game, and like Squee, you're saying that concealment's a great idea, but with it comes timers, which then removes the entire whole, you engage on your own terms, because you have like 2 or 3 turns to pick the best engagement, but you don't engage in your own terms. You don't set up a firing squad. You don't set up like are you taking the shot?
Yeah, I'm taking the shot.
100% chain shot.
Yep. This guy has a superior scope. So 91 aim with superior scope. So and steady hands.
Oh, you do need chain shot, don't you? Because a normal shot won't be enough. It'll be enough if it does max damage, but not enough if it doesn't.
I think even with max damage, it wouldn't be enough. I think that's 10. Oh wait, no. If it crits, you would get them. But that's a 7.
Excuse me. Excuse me again. Wow.
All right, 10's max damage. Sorry.
Well, let's take a look here. Hang on. If I just fire the sniper rifle, it's 10's max damage.
Yeah,
if I
10,
crit,
so it crit,
like you're right. If I crit, it'd be enough, and that's still crit's a high chance. But let's not risk it.
Yeah, it's not even worth the risk. No.
Let's just finish him off. Overwatching, the timers that prevent Overwatch. Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from, but there were a lot of other ways they could have prevented Overwatch parties without. See, here's the thing. I don't like in a turn-based game being rushed. What's the point of it being turn-based if you're rushed? You know what I mean? I don't mind it once in a while, sure. But all the time, every mission almost, you're rushed. It's the whole point of a turn-based game is to be able to take your time and fight the way you want. I think it takes options away from you. There's 100 ways you could prevent Overwatch camping. Like, for example, if the enemy Overwatch, or if you Overwatch camp, the enemy doesn't come to you. The enemy makes you come to them. You know what I mean? That'd been a perfect solution. So many times I played XCOM 1 where I'm like, why do they come to me? Why don't they just set up a defensive position and force me to come to them? All right.
Yeah. Like, okay. How about if you want to prevent that, if they have like an Overwatch.
Sorry.
Just crit.
No, he executed him.
Wow.
Well then, no matter what, it worked. Sorry, Piff. Yes, go.
Oh shit. What was I talking about like 2 seconds ago?
You were saying they could have done something a different way for Overwatch parties.
Oh, right, for Overwatch parties. What they could have done was maybe one of them gets shot or whatnot through like a massive Overwatch. Or it'd be one of those things where, like, if you're against a smart enemy, let's just say like a commander, like one of the red suits and things like that, they might actually just do a movement to get into cover, which would not activate your Overwatch. Like if they basically just round the corner, peeked out, and saw basically your entire party holding guns up, they would probably just like inform everyone else to not like be in the particular area, as well as maybe even call in reinforcements, which you would then have to stop by actually pushing forward. Like just say you can stop that reinforcement from coming in if you can defeat them within like 2 turns or something like that. Like stop the call from going through.
Wait, why
that's a really good idea as well.
Why is this
having
game so horrible?
Having the officer call in reinforcements, but if you kill him within a time limit, the reinforcements get cancelled. That's not a bad idea. It's, I mean, it's a bit silly to say it's not entirely realistic if the call's already been made. But then again, the aliens targeting a relay that has their data on it and they're trying to destroy it before they even know you've turned up. Not exactly realistic either. Having time limits on missions before they know you're there, not realistic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's...
Well, it could even just be like, if you want realistic, 1 turn. Because I don't really know how long these turns actually go. This could be very quick actions, like from both sides. Like in D&D, like a melee round where everyone takes like their turn, you and your opponent at 6 seconds. It could be very similar to how XCOM does it, where this is actually like much higher speed than people would think. But
yeah, I think I've read turns in real time are like between 6 and 10 seconds, 6 and 12 seconds. I think you're about right, yeah. Did one Archon fall down?
Yeah, what
Maybe.
happened? I can't see him.
One's fallen down, but the other one's not.
yeah, the one with
Weird.
more HP is probably down
So
there.
then I can just do this and hit them both, probably.
And how can you hit that one this...
I
That
think
is a really big blast radius.
Well, whatever. I'm just gonna roll with it. There go my plasma grenades. There we go.
Put to good use.
I found you.
You can't
That's-
not see me.
Oh,
Yeah, you still got one standing.
is he visible now?
Hmm?
Like I saw his body for a second. Maybe.
Yeah,
Wait a second. What the?
He's...
Are you in concealment?
Yeah, but there's still something that can see me, which means something's still alive?
That Archon's
Yeah.
still alive, yeah.
Yeah, he actually has quite a bit of health left still down there.
Interesting.
And he's frenzied as well.
I can't see him, but I can see him. Well, this should finish him off.
Oh, right, yeah, because combat protocol doesn't work by line of sight. But the question is, who is giving you line of sight to target him?
I have no idea.
We're just going to assume where he is. Go get him, drone.
He's invisible.
Did you get him? Is he gone?
I don't know. No, he's not gone.
no.
What
Okay.
the heck? I can't see him. I don't even know how much health he has. That's weird. All right, I'm gonna have to just break concealment of my flippin'.
Is your ranger the last squad member?
Yeah,
Oh, damn.
I know.
So wait, what was that 20? You did what? 776?
Yeah.
He must be dead. But
Well, see, here's the
I
thing.
think
Here's the thing.
corpse.
I'm almost wanting to reload a little bit because here's my thing. I thought that combat protocol would kill him because if he fell, he took fall damage.
But he has jet boosters, Squiddy.
Yeah, I know, but
Should've-
obviously we thought he fell because we can't see him. It's a glitch. Oh man, it's gonna make him break concealment.
What, do you have anybody else who can move up?
No. I don't have anyone else that can do anything. See, if I had known that he'd had more than 6 points of health left, I would have just shot at him, but... I don't know if I just take the shot. Or if I reload. Well... I'm gonna reload, because that's an obvious
Hold
glitch.
on. Hold on. Before you reload, save and then load that save game.
Oh.
Just in case
Well, no.
it's not
The point is, I wouldn't have taken the actions I took. That's
if you
the
didn't know
point.
you weren't hexing him.
Exactly. Because
Okay.
saving is not going to do me any good. I'm just going to have to take this shot. So I'm going to autosave, load that autosave there. Because here's the thing. If I had known he hadn't fallen, if I had known he had more 6 points, because honestly, with the damage he'd done plus fall damage, that 6 should have killed him.
Oh no, they don't take full damage because they're floating.
But he fell. If he fell, he would have taken fall. You see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know this. I didn't think they'd fall at all. But obviously, I thought he did fall because he wasn't visible.
Yeah, he should have done like what the other Archon did and not fallen.
Right.
Archons and Gatekeepers shouldn't even lower when you take away their floor. They should stay where
And
they
that's
are.
what
because
I
they're
thought,
flying
but-
units, yeah.
But yeah, considering that I didn't think it was a glitch, I thought, well, maybe they can fall and take fall damage. I guess.
This is the strategy element that I was talking about, where you're just like, if these are correct, then this should work, and it doesn't because it's just kind of goofy. Where like they shouldn't have fallen because they're floating, but they did, so they should take damage, but they're floating, so they don't take damage. So why did they fall in the first place?
Hang on, I have to ask James in chat. It's my fault that the Archon went invisible. That's my fault. I couldn't see how much health he had left. I couldn't see him at all. I had to assume he fell. I don't know how any of that is my fault. Alright, so we're gonna do chain shot again. Okay, well, he died on the first shot anyway. Alright. Alright, so same thing. I'm gonna do
They should do the exact same thing, if I remember correctly. The seed shouldn't change.
Yeah, no.
For the random number generator. Yeah, it looks like they're doing the exact same thing. Yeah, I mean, on that topic, I mean, what James was saying, I really wish Archons work like floaters did in Xcom EU. If they're flying, they're up in the air, and they're actually using their jets. If they're at ground level, they're not, and they don't get a defense bonus. Because, I mean, right now, if you look at them, they're not bobbing and weaving. They're just at ground level like any other unit. They shouldn't have a defense unit. But if they want their defense unit, they need to fly.
Right.
I understand why they removed the flying mechanic entirely, and I hate that they did. I understand why they did it. It's because there are a lot of line of sight problems involved when you do that. But like so many things that XCOM 2 did, if there was a problem, they removed that mechanic entirely. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's like, air game's crap, get rid of it. Line of sight and flying units crap, oh, we just won't have any flying units. You could just solve the problem.
Maybe they couldn't, though. Maybe it was unsolvable. I mean, like, it is easy for us to sit there and go, why don't you just fix it? But we're not game developers. Maybe there was some fundamental flaw they could never get working right.
Hey, still floating.
Yay!
Not invisible this time. That's true, but this isn't like an indie team we're talking about. Firaxis, not only are they a big company, but this is also the second game of the series. They should have worked out the problem.
Well,
they built the engine from the ground up, right?
I would typically agree. I just caution that we're not game developers. So there's always that chance that it's like we worked and we couldn't do it. It just, there was something that didn't work. I'm sure every game has those issues. I'm sure there's every game where it's just like, look, I know from modding Skyrim and Fallout that, you know, sometimes it should work. It should definitely work, and it just doesn't. Why? I don't know. I don't have a clue. It just doesn't work. All right. They're not dead.
I love the idea that computers can never be wrong. It's literally impossible for a computer to get anything wrong. It's all user input. But it doesn't feel like that, does it? Sometimes things just don't add up. Oh, Squee, yeah, this is exactly why you missed. You can grenade one of them, but you can't the other. Oh, you got an angle there.
Almost. This isn't a grenade, this is capacitor discharge.
Try shifting your camera over so you can actually get that square down there.
That's probably why when the front Archon went invisible, and you assumed because you could hit the second one, that it would hit the first. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you do have an angle then.
I don't like using my capacitor discharge, but I mean, what's my option? My other option is to unconceal my ranger, which I'd rather not do.
Yeah, it's much better to have them keep the ranger concealed.
Okay, let's move my ranger up.
But yeah, another mechanic is, I don't know if you remember when the game was first released, or just before the game was released, you could overwatch from concealment and shoot enemies.
Yes.
And I thought that was so much fun. It was so hilarious and enjoyable to set up an overwatch on an enemy squad and just kill them all. And yes, it wasn't balanced or fair, so they could have made it balanced to compensate. But instead, they removed the mechanic entirely.
Yeah, well, yes, I'm with you. I thought that was really fun too. Question, though, would be, how would they balance?
I would have probably done it like this. I would have embraced that mechanic and basically just made it harder for people to actually just run in and gun, where they actually would have to sit back, strategize, maybe even take out a complete group by doing that, and then have that sort of like now everything is loud and now you have to go in, very similar to like stealth games or even like Payday or anything like that, where once you start firing it won't stop, but you have to make that first encounter really effective. So I would probably just pump to the enemies or something like that to compensate for that.
Well, here, and just playing devil advocate here, because that would be my first thought, would be just, put some more enemies on the map so that, hey, you eliminate that first pod, but, so like for example, let's say there's normally 4 pods on the map, you put a 5th one, so that, you get rid of that first pod, and then you still, but what happens on the times where you can't do that for whatever reason? Now you maybe have an unbalanced map.
I would have probably just actually increased statistically maybe a few health bars or something like that, so it was a bit chunkier, instead of actually something that was how do I put this? So to compensate for that obvious, just like, this is how much damage you can put in just by taking out a particular group or whatnot. Let's just say that happens every once in a while, that you're actually very successful. I want to actually have the player feel that they've actually done something successfully.
Right.
And if something goes tits up, that they can actually kind of go, oh shit, and maybe even just retreat right then and there. There just wasn't that first good encounter, or they just go for it. Whatever it is, it feels, I feel that they're taking away strategy elements for something that's more of just like, all right, I just want you to like come together and just use your weapons and see who dies, instead of actually like thinking through problems and actually having like full, here is something that will work and succeed in this particular point, which does still happen, but I think it's a bit on the restrictive side, where I think maybe giving a bit more power to the player to actually decide what their steps are going to be.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that and agree with that. Like I said, I was just playing devil's advocate in the sense of maybe balancing it like might have been difficult. Okay, I know a lot of times, and I've been accused of this before, it sounds like I'm a developer apologist. And I'm really not, because there's a lot of things where I think there's no excuse for. I, however, unlike not you two, especially, but a lot of people out there, don't like to admit that they don't know anything about game development. I don't know anything about game development, so my first thought is, whereas a lot of people, and I need to stress that I'm not talking about you two, I'm just describing myself in general. A lot of people say, this is wrong in the game, they should have fixed it. My first thought is, this is wrong in the game, maybe they couldn't fix it? You know what I mean? Like, that's my first thought, because I think that's only fair. It's fair to, because I don't know anything about how to make a video game. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'll be the first to admit, like, my thoughts are generally, at this point, half-baked. Like, all of my ideas are generally just something that I would feel that it would work, generally, if you did it generally this way.
Yeah, it does feel like it would work, though. I mean, I think that sounds like a great alternative.
What I was going to say, though, about... I can't remember whose idea it was. Squeeze, your idea for adding more pods for keeping Overwatch mechanic. The only thing I can't think that, sure, as a good player, you would do that to get rid of a pod for free for the enjoyment of mowing them down without them having a chance. And if you don't, you fail, it's even worse for the player. That's fair enough. But the problem was, when the game was released, it was mind-boggling the number of players that just didn't understand. If you overwatched, instead of engaging the enemy, you would take shots for free. Then they would take a reaction move without being aggressive. Then you would take your moves again. And so many players just didn't understand the concept. So, number one, did they not get it? Number two, clearly if they didn't get it, they would be doing it. So you'd be adding more pods to players that didn't understand that concept, making the game more difficult to them.
Right.
So, yeah, you're making it fun for the more experienced players, but more difficult for the players that don't have to take advantage of the mechanics that are in the game. The best solution I would say to that is have that extra pod only appear on impossible commander difficulty. I can't remember what it's called. The highest difficulty.
Yeah.
Only
Right.
have it appear on commander difficulty. But I mean, yeah, as I said, that is a very simple solution. And what I was going to say to the idea of, us not being developers, you're absolutely right, Squee. And I've thought a lot about the problems of XCOM 2 and how it would have been best for them to solve it, in my opinion, as somebody that isn't a developer. And you're absolutely right. I don't know if this is the best way to do it. I'm not a developer. I don't know how much budget will have to go into this aspect to solve a problem. But what I've thought of is this is the second game in their series now. It's no longer a fresh, new, fancy concept, this whole XCOM thing, that it was when it was first released. And it's not as easy to let things slide this time round. Hence why the reviews of XCOM 2 have typically been lower, like in the 85 range, whereas XCOM EU was more in the 90 range, which is pretty much solely down to the fact that XCOM EU was a new idea, well, new for the generation. XCOM 2 is not, regardless of how much more it's adding. And I feel they should have taken into account not just what they learnt from Enemy Within and how they adapted to the problems, like Meld making you stop Overwatch trapping and trying to get Meld, making snipers less effective by removing critical hits from range, making sectopods having damage resistance. Sectopod were the few units in the game that had damage resistance even before Long Ward gave them damage resistance. They took half damage flat all the time,
Right.
half damage, which was a great start. They should have taken these ideas and rolled with it. They should have kept going with it. And the biggest thing that I think they should have done is treated XCOM 2 like it is a game for hardcore players. Now, that doesn't mean designing the game from the ground up to be a hardcore game, but treating it to... It's the hardcore fans that can be playing it after most gamers have got bored for it, right? I mean, gamers that enjoy games that enjoy that game will carry on playing it after most other games have. Those games will typically be called hardcore because they're playing it after its kind of honeymoon period is worn off, right?
Right.
They should have taken it a little bit more seriously for those players and for those players' sake, because without it, it feels kind of insulting. I feel they should have spent more time in balancing the game. And they should have done... I don't know how the balancing works, because obviously it's regarding playtesting, but I kind of feel, back when they released the beta versions of the game, which was like the first third of the game, to all those YouTubers, that was not balancing. It wasn't balancing. That was advertising, pure and simple. They should have had a period for balancing. And they should have had not YouTubers, but gamers that wanted to opt in for the beta, for like the first third of the game, to tell them what worked and what didn't. And if it felt too extreme what they wanted to change, then have it only apply to the higher difficulties. Because as it was when it was released, it really, really doesn't feel like anybody of experienced XCOM talent, as in somebody that's played 200, 400, 500 plus hours of XCOM, somebody that plays it regularly, played it during testing, because simple things like the smoke grenade was so imbalanced that it was never used to the point they didn't even realize it didn't work at all. How did that get through balancing and playtesting?
Yes, that's
They didn't use it
and those are the
for
kind of
balance.
things I think there's absolutely no excuse for. Absolutely no excuse, because I could fix that in any file. You know what I mean? I did.
Yeah.
I did fix that in any file. I shouldn't have
But
to
the
do
point
that.
was they didn't, because they didn't notice it, because it wasn't imbalanced. It started with the fact that it wasn't imbalanced, so they didn't use it. So they didn't notice it wasn't working. The first clue should have been they're not using it. How can we make the player use this item more often?
Right.
Maybe give it 2 charges. Maybe have it be a free use, for example. That'd be great ways of making it balanced. And then they would have realized, hey, this isn't actually working, is it? It feels like the game wasn't tested for hardcore players, which I know it's not a big issue for a game being a AAA game. It's not the main concern, but they should have had more respect for the players that can be playing the game after the first month is out. They really
Yes.
should have, because they're the fans that make the mods, they're the fans that play the mods, they're the fans that will influence where the game will lead in the future. Like what happened with Long War. XCOM 2 followed many of Long War's traits, granted not all of them, and I wish they'd done more, but many of Long War's traits, and this happened because hardcore gamers wanted to play the game after it'd gone out of its honeymoon period. And thanks to incredibly talented people, not just the Long War team, but other people collaborating with the Long War team to add more additions to the game, that it had that longevity. And that XCOM 2 managed to learn from that, at least a little bit. And that's what's going to happen in the future. It's the hardcore gamers that are going to lead the game to where it's going to end up going. And they should have had more respect for those gamers. And they could have done it. They could have just made the additions only apply to the higher difficulties. But it just blatantly doesn't seem like they did. And the smoke grenade is the perfect example. Imbalanced, didn't use it, didn't notice it wasn't working.
Let's just do the small.
More money?
Intel.
Sorry about the Squee. That's quite the rant. It just bugs me a lot. It really does. It's you can let it go in XCOM EU, but in XCOM 2 they should have learned. They really should have learned. They should have given a bit more respect.
Wait, what happened? Okay, those guys suddenly look like they're alerted, but all I did was hack the objective.
Status confirmed.
If they didn't scatter, I would say they're
not alerted then, yeah.
Yeah.
Near the AO.
Well,
I would say.
however, I have this as a toggleable object, which means if I blow it up, I'll probably hit that leader. So I think I'ma do it.
As what is a top?
Okay, this tank is targetable.
That entire tank?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Exciting, isn't it?
I would move a bit further than that. Typically, cars only explode one tile beyond their physical radius, and that applies to more like explosive objects. A tank that big, I have no idea.
See, look. It's
Do you want to
targetable.
save and find out?
I think so. I'ma save and find out. Okay, let's
Inferno.
see here.
Squee Inferno's in the chat.
Yes, hi, Inferno. I noticed you were there, but I haven't been following the conversation. Let's save and find out. You're welcome to join the call if you'd like, Inferno. We're just having a great big old party in here.
Also, as a mini aside rant, I miss the days when games could not get patched, because it felt at that point that they had to get the game right on the first go.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of going like, we'll send it out now, get our money, and if something's wrong with it, we'll fix it later.
Piff, can you do me a favor and add good old Inferno?
I can do that.
Boom! Oh my god! No, wait, why are you on fire? Why are you on fire?
Why is the sniper on fire?
Oh,
I need to watch that again in YouTube. I think YouTube's about 20 seconds behind.
Why? It exploded on all of them. That's fantastic.
That was quite the... Oh.
But why is he on fire? Oh, you can't, can you get somewhere where you can see them? Maybe if you go, you won't be in range though. So let's just get you here. Next turn. Da da da.
Hiya.
Hi, Inferno.
So, out of curiosity, I kind of came in halfway through your conversation. Apparently, there is some maybe bug in the game or something like that.
No, actually, what we were referring to at first was in XCOM 2 they got rid of the flight mechanic because there was really buggy things with the line of sight. It just never worked right. And that's what I was saying was that it is possible that they tried and they tried and they tried and they just couldn't get it to work right, so they took it out. And it might not have been a lazy thing. It might have been we just can't get this to work.
True. So I definitely appreciate, like, it is important, even as a consumer, even for me, for example, who is a very high demand consumer, as a human being, it's best to give people the benefit of the doubt. It's best to assume that people aren't being evil or anything like that, right? But I'm also a person who doesn't truck with any excuses. If they planned on, if from their drawing board. You know what I mean? When they first had the initial ideas of making XCOM 2, when they wanted to put in flight, and halfway through development, they realized what they coded, what they created really shitty flight. Instead of going back, you know, instead of maybe they didn't have the money to go forward or something like that, you know, to fix all the problems. Okay, I get it. And so they had to make a tough decision, right? Okay, all right. But their argument can also be said that, you know, if you guys wanted to do this from the get-go and you did a shitty job, you got no one else to blame but yourselves. You know, like you made the mistakes. That's your fault, not mine, right?
That's true, and that's fair enough.
But there's two sides to it, right? There's definitely two sides, and what the big question is what makes XCOM 2 fun, and what did the consumer, you know, expect? Or, well, you gotta be careful with expectations, right? But what does the game provide, right? And if the game provides so much fun where you don't really care about flight, even though it was in the other game, and even though it's a fun, you know, dynamic, but if the game can provide things that makes you forget about that, then I say no big deal, right? But if XCOM 2 is dying by 1,000 cuts, you know what I mean? If they changed so much from the first one that it isn't really, like, why are they calling it XCOM 2 if it's nothing like it? Then you got a problem. Now, I don't think that's the problem with this game. Obviously, there is a lot of similarities between the first game. They've made some changes, some bold, some not so bold, right? But they gave it a shot. And it's up to us as consumers, as players, as gamers, to decide whether they want to accept or reject what they created.
All right, I'm running and gunning this.
Well, with that idea, I played XCOM EU more than I played Skyrim, and I played Skyrim a lot.
Yeah,
so
a lot of
much,
people
and
played
I
Skyrim
modded
a
it.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I know Squee is more of a Fallout guy, but I can imagine that I played Skyrim as much as he played Fallout. That much. And having said that, I still enjoy XCOM the idea more than I do Fallout Skyrim the idea. But okay, and this is a problem that really annoys me because I really love the XCOM franchise. Is that I haven't touched XCOM 2 campaign since since finishing it. I've only done like custom missions and stuff. I haven't touched it since. Whereas Fallout, I'm going back and forth with the game, having fun with it, messing about. And here's the difference: with Fallout, I would happily play it without mods, even though I am modding it continuously. I would play it without mods, and I have been playing with mods. XCOM 2, on the other hand, I would not touch without mods anymore. I would not go back and play it if there weren't mods for it.
That's interesting. Do you mind articulating why? Do you think? Have you reflected on why that caused?
Oh, that was an EMP grenade, sorry. Because I feel there are too many issues that were like shortcuts for things that they didn't want to deal with. And we were covering this earlier, I don't know if you were in the chat for that. Like, not exactly the best example, I'll start with this. Air game, for example, wasn't good in EU. Should we fix it? Maybe they tried, who knows? We'll get rid of it instead. The Overwatch mechanic that was in the original game that was first released, or maybe in the beta, that you can Overwatch from concealment and it will kill a squad, an enemy squad, and it was incredibly fun, incredibly overpowered as well. Should we balance it? No, we'll just remove it. So many of these ideas, it feels like they're not trying to fix it, they're just going for the quickest, easiest solution.
Ow. Ow.
Oh my god, crit through cover as well.
Ow.
It just feels like...
They should have taken their time with it.
It feels like they're not looking for solutions, they're looking for fixes.
Yeah, I gather. I agree with that.
Okay, I can definitely.
Hendrix!
Oh my god, he's still alive!
He's
How
got
is
that
this
2
man
armor.
still
That 2
alive?
armor is saving his life.
Yeah, but we'll save it from this. They all want to murder him.
Oh, where's that other mech? What's that other mech gonna do? Oh my god, that other mech didn't do anything. Oh boy.
I have to ask, why is there an Avent symbol spray painted onto the bottom of the train?
No, I think
It's
that
a
was
hover
part
train.
of it looks like it's I don't know.
That's the thing. It doesn't look like it's part of the crate that you blocked. It looks like it's actually spray paint onto the train.
Yeah, it
Which
does.
Advent soldier thought, you know what? I'm a bit of a rebel. I'm going to spray paint my own ruler's symbol onto something they own as a symbol of my allegiance.
I think what it is that we have a very clever counter-revolutionary. Very clever revolutionary who's deciding to go with reverse psychology. So instead of spreading their own symbol like death to Advent or, they're really aliens, please help us, they're like, I'll show them. I'll put in their symbol and keep them guessing.
Breed dissension in the ranks. Who spray painted a symbol here?
Exactly. That's someone who's just smart.
You know what? I will amend one thing, kind of like what we were talking about. How my first thought is to, did perhaps developers try and just fail as opposed to go for the easy fix or whatnot. I think that every developer, let's say for example, Firaxis tried to work on a mechanic, and whatever they tried for weeks, they couldn't get it to work, and they had to make that hard choice, right? They need to be open about it. They need to say exactly that. Look, guys, I'm sorry. We tried. It would not work. And I think gamers would be a lot more forgiving.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think gamers will be like, that's an excuse. You know what I mean? Like, I think companies should be responsible for the products that they make, not excuse why they didn't make it as good as they should. I don't think that's a good business practice. Being like, hey guys, we could have made it flying, but it was just too hard. We just tried so much, but we just couldn't do it. Could you please understand? And because this team gave up on that, can you still buy our game from us? No, I think that's a big mistake.
I don't know. I mean, games are so complicated that maybe they had a cool feature in there. They never got it to work. There was a bug they didn't catch. Oh, well, they should have caught it. That's true. They should have caught it. But I do think that I'm not saying that they get a pass. I'm saying that if there's a problem with the game that's a minor problem, and they try and they can't fix it, or more like from XCOM 1 to XCOM 2, like the flight mechanic. We tried, it didn't work in the first game, we tried our best to fix it in the second game, we never could get it to work, so we took it out. I think that's better than just saying we're lazy, we're just going to take it out.
No, you shouldn't just say anything. You should just be like, this is what's in our game. And if people ask, well, why isn't it flying? It can just be like, it doesn't work in the engine properly.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a very good point.
Well, I mean, with that idea, as I was saying, that I feel that in that period when they were handing out the game to YouTubers to advertise the game, they should have used that time instead to allow people that wanted to play the game to opt into the beta and playtest it, and do like they did for Long War, because Long War balance isn't down to the Long War team, because the community would just go nuts if they just exactly. And I remember one of the things that Johnny Lump actually wanted to implement with Long War was snipers too powerful. Everything they did, snipers were always too powerful. They couldn't find a way to fix it, and mainly because battle scanners allowed them to squad sight and so on and so on. They were actually thinking, or Johnny Lump was suggesting, of making it so that you couldn't even target an enemy in squad sight unless they've been triggered. And the community, myself included, just went mental. It's like, why are you going to make that tactical opportunity and then just remove it entirely?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was never implemented. Yes, it was never implemented. That's what that balance period should have been. People that wanted to play the game, people that wanted to care about the game, could play it and tell the devs what worked and what didn't. And not just be a simple case of, oh, we're having a problem with this, get rid of it. Instead, they took the time to advertise the game. Which, of course, it might not be the developer's fault. Firaxis probably had nothing to do with it. It was probably 2K Games, their publisher, saying, we need to get this out there, get it to every single YouTuber, as many as you can, send it to anybody that wants it. That's a big YouTuber that can advertise it. So it was probably not Firaxis' fault. So, fair point in saying that we're not devs, we have no idea. But
yeah, we don't know what the process was, and I think it's unfair to make it.
So it's very likely more a publisher issue than a developer issue, but nonetheless, that the problem still remains. It feels like they didn't spend enough time trying to work out what actually works in the game and what doesn't.
And I guess that goes to almost the main point. When you make a game, no one can make a game that everyone's gonna love. That is impossible. You know what I mean? That's like coming up with a political party that everyone's gonna agree on. Just not gonna happen. We as a species, as human beings, and we as gamers have so much different tastes and stuff that you can't make a game that appeals to everyone, right? So what you do is you make your, like, especially when you're making a sequel. Oh my god, sequel's so much easier. It's so much riskier making a new game because you have no idea if people are gonna like it, right? All you can do is compare to like similar games and like that action of the community, and hopefully they'll accept it, right? But when you make a sequel, oh my goodness, you already have people, and a sequel to a very successful game, then you have a huge opportunity. If you engage with those fans and find out exactly what they like, what they don't like, then you can make, because let's be honest, making a video game is a product. They're not doing this just for the good of mankind. If they were, they wouldn't be charging money for it, right? This is a game, this is a product. So if they want to make a product so people will buy it, it is a great idea to, at least it's a more ethical idea in my opinion, to engage in the fan base and really have that very clear communication. And now, to be fair to Firaxis, they have done quite a bit of engagement, right? They're not just sitting up there in the tower not listening to anybody, right? But if they wanted to engage more, your idea of having an actual beta rather than a promotional beta probably would have been a better decision to be made, right? But all in all, I don't know. Like, I don't. It's funny. I very recently started playing Wasteland 2, and at first I loved it, and then like 10 hours in, I started to really hate it. And I don't feel bad for, like, I don't think it's a garbage game, but it's just not for me. And it just doesn't speak to me, right? So
I actually feel exactly the same way, and it was around that same time period that I got bored of it as well. It just there was something off about the game mechanic.
It was
that left.
And controlling that camera was a nightmare. I'm like, oh my god. I'm sorry. Please continue, Mickey.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I agree entirely. I had the exact same issue with the game, that I found it was so like, oh my god, something fresh, exciting. It's how turn-based games used to be, and I really enjoyed the starting game. Things progressed really quickly, but by the time we got to the mid game, it's like the incentive just plummeted to keep playing. I don't know what it was. I didn't think about it for long enough. I didn't dwell on it enough like I have with Xcom 2 to come up with reasonably intelligent reasons as to why that was the case, but whatever it was, I feel it must be the same as what you experienced when you played the game.
Oh,
it happened around the same time.
And what really bugged me, what really got me jived up, is that Chris Avellone, I'm a huge fan of Chris Avellone. A lot of the games that he's made, you know, even the ones where there has been serious problems, like KOTOR 2 and Obsidian, like, I'm a big Obsidian fanboy, but I'm not a person who can't say that they're, you know, infallible, right? KOTOR 2 was definitely rushed and was very suboptimal, right? But when Chris Avellone, I saw an interview with him, he goes, you know, the really great thing about Wasteland 2 is a lot of the decisions that you make, they come down later on in the game, and I'm like, okay, that's really cool. And he's like, you know, and we do things that are a lot more intuitive for a player. For example, if someone rips you off, you don't have to go down this linear path where you can never go back to them and you know, call them on them ripping you off. Like, you can make these decisions. I'm like, oh, okay, great. You know, long-term consequences, multiple decisions, more options. I love it. Then I got to the game where I could make one of two choices, and there was no way, there was no third way, there was no fourth way, there was no way I could go back and explain myself. I was told I could kind of play the game my way, and then I couldn't really play the game my way. And I understand that they can't, you know, put wires to my head and make the perfect game for me. But I was a little, I guess I was a little overpromised, or I had too much optimism for what that game could do, because you couldn't do anything you wanted in Baldur's Gate either, right? I mean, like the conversation paths were like A, B, C, or D, right? And really is deciding who you could kill. The really nice thing about Wasteland 2 was that you could kill anybody. You literally could kill anybody, and you just have to live with the consequences. I get it, but it was that, but I could have gotten even past that, because that's not a huge deal, right? But what really killed me was how slow the game was, how awkward the interface was, and that 3D isometric camera. If you're going to do an isometric view, you got to do what Pillars in Eternity and the other ones do, which is you keep one camera angle, right? And you make sure everything's visible from that camera angle. When you can pan the camera around, like this is a good example of an isometric view that you can pan the camera around, because you can kind of see everything. But in Wasteland, it just doesn't work. The camera's too restrictive. You can't see far enough ahead of you.
Yeah.
It's and the maps are so big, and you can't speed through them. There's no fast travel at all. And the older that we get, the less time we have for fucking around. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to spend 5 minutes. Like, this is 5 minutes of my time that I'm not working. I'm having fun. I don't want to spend 5 minutes watching characters walk from one end of the map to the other. I just don't have time for that shit anymore. I did when I was 16, not anymore. So yeah, it was just too much of a time waste.
I can definitely see that.
Which is too bad. I got a good 30 hours into that game, and so I stopped.
You know, I've actually, since you've been talking, I actually realised what it was. I clocked back what the problem was. For me, because I was going to do a series on it, and I did the first episode, I had the XCOM characters of Van Dorn, Zhang, so on and so on. And after I playtested it, I realised why I stopped playing the first time round and why I didn't want to play again with the director's cut. About around the same place. The game just wasn't difficult. It wasn't difficult or challenging the highest difficulty.
Yeah, that combat was really simplistic.
Yeah. I built all of the characters exactly the same. Every single one of them was a combat character with very minimalistic secondary stats that increase slowly on the sidelines, not as a priority. And once you take that into account, once you stop trying to build a diverse squad of different and interesting characters, once you build an army, an actual military squad, you just plow through the enemy, regardless of what they are. It makes no difference what kind of cover they're in. You're going to have weapons with mods and skills at up to 10 out of 20 halfway point for a skill within the first quarter of the game. Or earlier. Actually, yeah, much earlier, about 5 hours in. And you just mow down enemies.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't do a series for it, because that was why I fell off, because I didn't find any challenge in it, and it became boring. Much like the campaign XCOM 2, where you get to a point, you just roll through them. Like XCOM Vanilla. The difficulty curve is inverse, very difficult at the beginning while you're trying to catch up to the enemies, technical-wise, catch up to them. But once you do and surpass them, there's not really much they can do.
Yeah, I guess part of it might be my lack of, or my lesser skill form. I haven't lost anyone, as in they haven't died in a long time. But even though I'm in the end game for XCOM 2, I still feel like every mission's a nail biter. So that might just be me.
You almost lost that dude right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's absolutely true. But would you say it's more difficult now than it was at the beginning of the game?
At the beginning of the game, you were getting your butt kicked a lot.
But see, here's the problem, though. How much of that is the game, and how much of that is I've learned how to play the game?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really hard to quantify.
Maybe it's because you've learned that it got easier, right? Maybe it wasn't the mechanics at all. Maybe it's just you got better.
Yeah.
You'd have thought.
So I'm not sure. But I'm with you. I understand.
Hold on. How did that soldier miss? I thought they patched that so soldiers' units couldn't miss.
I thought so too. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
And that was point blank. Again, another issue. Why did they make it so that enemy units didn't get range bonuses like you do? You would assume they do, and you would act that as if that's the case. You wouldn't get close to them unless you intended to kill them, but yet they don't. It's just bogglingly counterintuitive why they do that.
Let's gold mine them.
I want to go back for a second. When I just before I first joined in, Piffy said that
you
he
missed
missed.
him.
No,
God.
Piffy's still here.
No, the skull mine.
Oh,
Skull
I was
mine.
about to say Piffy's still here. I see his
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all right. No, you're actually talking about the game. How dare you? You know,
Skull
you
mine
bastard.
again.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No,
Sorry, Infernocanuck.
it's okay. It's when Piff said he misses the day where patches weren't available, so game companies had to make games that weren't broken because then no one would buy it. But nowadays we have that mentality of like rush it to market, patch it later, right? And we've seen this time and time and time again. We have the consumer, and one would bemoan the poor consumer not being able to trust anything, right? Always having to wait till later to buy the game. And that's still true, but we do have one thing in our pocket with digital distribution. We do have that good old-fashioned refund, right? I don't think people understand how much that Steam refund policy has changed and has empowered consumers. Because now because before they could just release any game and as long as they made their money, they'd be fine, right? But you can't make your money if everyone's fucking returning it,
Yeah,
right?
and Steam
If
gives you
that new
basically
Batman
14
game-
days.
If that Arkham
yeah,
Knight, if that Steam policy was not there with Arkham Knight, they would have released that glitchy ass game, and they would have either never fixed it or they wouldn't fix it until like half a year later, maybe, if they could find it in their budget to get one guy to go back in and fix it, you know? But since no one was buying it and everyone was refunding it, the company had to act in its own interest, which was, we're losing money, we need to fix this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all it is that consumers just have to not settle for shit.
Ooh,
Don't settle for it.
that is a bit of a problem because us as consumers, we're probably the biggest issue here. We're the biggest factor causing the problem.
Fucking right we are.
Like pay to win, day one DLCs, pre-ordering that comes with extra content that was made while the game was in development that you're paying for, but you're not getting unless you pre-order it.
Yep.
And games coming out on beta that you're paying for a full title that's like a quarter feature content complete.
Mm-hmm.
This is all because of consumers.
Yep.
Yeah,
We
because
won't
they
play
allowed
now.
for it. They said, when the company said this is what we're going to do, the consumer said, yes sir, please give me more of that bullshit.
Yeah.
Because no, it's true. They
It's
were
true.
they were the orphan, Oliver the orphan, who said, please sir, I want some more. And that gruel was bullshit business practice. It's true. I see. I don't understand why people, and you're absolutely right, Mickey. People's rage at the companies, how evil EA is, and everything like that. Last time I checked, EA wasn't bashing down my door and robbing me. I purposefully give them money for their product. I have no one to blame but myself. Now, if companies are deceitful, unethical, etc. in their business practices, that's a whole other kettle of fish. But when a game developer makes a bad game or has microtransactions up the wazoo, or is like does bullshit like what the Payday 2 devs did, and people say, okay, sure, no problem, why should they change? It works. It's a business practice.
Yeah.
I have to talk about this now.
Okay.
So
Well, hang on, guys. We need to end the episode real quick because we're done with the mission. So give me a second.
Welcome to us talking about the game industry while watching XCOM 2.
1 second.
very much.
I will end the episode, and next episode we're probably going to take on that next story mission, that alien facility thing. So woohoo!
Sweet.
See you
That's gonna
guys
be a tough
then.
one.
Bye bye.